Welcome to the Beyond the Vines podcast, where I interview local business owners in Sonoma County to highlight small business and grow our community. I'm your host, Amy Ehlers, a mom, realtor, and Sonoma County native, and I'm excited to connect you to some amazing people in this beautiful area that we call home. Welcome back to the Beyond the Vines podcast. Thanks again for listening today. I did just want to remind everybody, I do have a weekly real estate newsletter that goes out. I've gotten some great feedback on it. If you are interested in receiving that, I would love for you to just send me a DM and I can get you on the list for that. It covers fun Sonoma County events, as well as, of course, market updates and real estate news and homeowner tips. So I would love to start sending it to you today. I am here today with Dasha Lazaryuk. She is the owner of Budget Whiz. I am really excited for this episode. I think we're going to have some really great information that a lot of people, a lot of women specifically, can use. And so it is such an honor to have her here. Before we start talking to her, I want to tell you a little bit more about Dasha. Dasha is a life coach specializing in divorce and financial coaching. She helps women to navigate a journey of divorce from both an emotional and financial aspect. Her focus is on helping them uncover the power within, figure out their core values, and how to show up as their best selves emotionally and financially. The solution-based coaching methods that Dasha practices have helped many women to achieve financial and emotional wellness. Dasha went through a challenging and painful journey through her divorce and turned her experience into a mission to be the support and guide she once needed. Dasha's clients get tools, strategies, and awareness to gain clarity, build resilience, and create their dream life. With a rich tapestry of experiences as a mother, equestrian, immigrant, trained life coach, and women's advocate, she brings empathy, insight, and a multifaceted perspective to her coaching. Dasha is also an author of How to Keep Your Horse When You're Going Through a Divorce and a comprehensive guide to rewriting one's life story called My New Book of Life, both available on Amazon in April. I'm super excited to read those. You can find Dasha on budgetwiz.com, budget-wiz.com, YouTube, and TikTok. And I will link all of those ways to reach her in our show notes as well. So thank you, Dasha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me here today.
I am thrilled. I think this is such an important topic. You and I were talking before the show that we both know women who have been through divorces, many women. You and I both ourselves have been through this phase of life. So it's so great to have you on here today.
Yes, I'm super excited to spread an awareness and maybe have a different perspective on a divorce that we normally have as like a big, sad. Of course it is. It's a huge life-changing event, but also it can open a lot of doors for a lot of opportunities, which is very exciting.
I agree with you. There is that, like, it's a horrible feeling when your family's broken up like that, but it's also like a fresh start, right? Like it's, oh, I'm going to decorate my room the way I like it now. And, things like that kind of make it a little bit easier.
Make food that I like.
Make food that I like.
Yeah, but there's definitely that grieving process.
For sure.
That's really, really difficult, as you and I know.
Definitely. And for you to be able to work with women during that time is it's crucial. So that's amazing.
Yes, it's such an honor.
Yeah.
And it's not that I dreamt about when I was a kid becoming a divorce coach.
Right.
And this is where I was called to. And I know I can make a difference and I know I can really help women because I once longed for a guide.
Right.
During my challenging journey.
Can you tell us more about that, about what inspired you to start this business?
So in my marriage, I chose to be ignorant about money, and I chose to delegate all of the financial decision-making to my then husband, which led to me discovering that he accumulated about $100,000 in debt.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I didn't know. And I negotiated my way out of $50,000 in debt.
Great.
Walking out of my marriage. And then I learned a lot of tools, a lot of strategies, and I thought that would be shame not to share it.
Amazing.
Being a life coach, I realized I can really be there, help, guide women to navigate this world that they never thought that they would find themselves in, and really show that this is the end and this is the beginning, because during this huge change, we can make a lot of other changes. This huge door is open, so we can really pack it with a lot of other changes because we're ready for it.
I love that. And it really is that fresh start, in every way, financially as well, whether we like it or not.
That's so, yes. And many of us can build a wonderful future for ourselves and our kids because sadly, we don't know what's happening with a person that we once lived with. And this is a really heartbreak.
Yes. Well, and I think you kind of learn in that after that first marriage and maybe you have this experience with other women that you can't, as sad as it is, you can't rely on anyone else. And so you need to really like take that power within yourself to make sure that you're always in control of your finances moving forward.
Yeah. And also being as an adult, this is our birthright to be financially independent and be financially well, because financial wellness can lead to health, just improving health, improving the relationship with ourselves, with other people, with our kids.
Right.
So it's just the chain reaction, and we got to start somewhere.
Yep.
And most of the time, finances are such a huge thing hovering over, and we got to learn. There is no way back. There is always, the only way is forward.
Yep. I agree with that. That's amazing. So what are some practical strategies that you coach individuals on to help them regain that financial stability post-divorce?
So my top 3 to shift in the mindset, because it's all about the mindset. It's such a misconception that we all can handle finances. This is simple math,
right?
Which is not.
Right.
If it was that simple, we'll be doing it, and everything will be unicorns and rainbows. And there are a lot of emotions we assign, and we really gotta think about the values. And values our compass. And during a divorce, I find in my work and in myself as well that compass had to be tuned.
Yeah.
There
it's a good way to word that.
There are a lot of broken pieces putting it together, and maybe having different values, which is very important. And another strategy would be creating a budget that is your values-based.
Right.
And really thinking about needs versus wants, and then maybe going frugal or even minimalist for, let's say, a year to pay off debt, to create the budget that you like, to have a emergency fund, all of these wonderful things, but it got to be value-based to really keep yourself going through challenging times, because it's like up and down.
Yeah.
We wish that success would go whoop, just like one straight line up, but it's
not going to. Yeah.
Wiggly worm.
I like that you kind of put a cap on that too, because it's a good reminder for everybody. Like, maybe you only are being a minimalist for a year. It's like a 1-year change while you kind of get yourself caught up. And I think that's a less daunting way to look at it for a lot of women.
Kind of like having, for this phase of my life, it all shall pass.
Yep.
But for this phase of my life, I am going to have these goals, do this, X, Y, Z, and I make a plan with my clients and always remind them, this is the time limit.
Right.
So you're not going to be, in this situation forever. You're not going to feel sad forever. You're not going to be fearful forever.
Right.
Let's work our way out of it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And then reassessing the situation, because what happened in the marriage, how we lived with our partner, our husband, it's different how we're operating now. If and most of us have kids, so being a single mom, this is a different time. And I have a vivid example of the importance of making your life changes based on your values, like core values. My client, she really enjoyed, quote unquote, very fancy outings and vacations with her husband and her kids, but she always felt exhausted during and after, and it took her weeks to recover, and she couldn't understand why. She couldn't put her finger on it. And then we reassessed her core values, and one of her core values was simplicity and being in nature. And then she realized, I feel the happiest when I dress simply. I don't care about dressing up.
Wow.
I love road trips. I love backpacking, meditating at a secluded beach. I love spontaneous trips.
Right.
I don't love to plan ahead. I love to dress very simply. And she's been living her life to the fullest. She's like, I don't have that pressure.
Yeah.
So it's such, I love this example, and I love her to pieces.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful for me to watch her transforming and really having her eyes been open, and she could stand taller.
Amazing.
Even. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, normally coach online, and I could, with session to session,
Right.
I could see her kind of like opening up,
Wow.
sitting straighter,
Wow.
and like having a bigger presence. Like, oh, I arrived back home. That
She found
rebirthing
herself.
happened for her.
Amazing. Wow, that's so interesting too that she didn't really recognize that piece of her until the process. That's incredible.
Yeah, because
you kind of transform,
absolutely
in your marriage.
And we don't really talk about values.
Right.
It's like, it's kind of like a given.
Yeah.
And we supposed to, same as with finances, we're supposed
Right.
to know this. So,
Yep.
with our friends, with our family, we don't really have this discussion at the
Right.
dinner. Like, let's talk about values.
Right.
It's like, what is going on right now? That's so weird.
Awkward, trying to eat dinner. Yeah, for sure. No, that's a really good reminder. Definitely. So how do you think emotions play a role in financial decision making, particularly in the context of divorce, and how do you help clients navigate this?
Emotions play a huge role because we assign so much to this basically pieces of paper.
Right.
Shame, guilt, fear, worry, anger, resentment. We can keep going. The list goes on.
Keep going. I'm here. It's sounding familiar. No, I'm just kidding.
But check mark.
Yeah, check. Right.
So, and the goal is not to stop feeling feelings or emotions. The goal is to be aware and work with them so we can have the control over the situation as opposed to the situation or, let's say, finances having control over us. So it is really crucial piece after the values to really assess the situation about the emotions. Like, how do you feel about money? What do you think when you think about spending money? Because otherwise we can have unbudgeted retail spree all the way to having the revenge and winning with money as opposed to having sound financial decisions. So in a way, we gotta take emotions out of it, but also they are our friends. And I remember a therapist that I worked with during my divorce, I wanted to be like, oh my gosh, like stop doing it. But she was excited when I said, I'm really fearful. And she was like, great, good for you. And I was like, what is she talking about?
I don't want to be fearful.
Yeah, because we hear, oh, you got to be faithful. Fear and faith, they don't live together, all of this. And she said, good, because each emotion gives you an information, gives you feedback. You just got to listen.
Yeah.
And it was such a big shift for me, the mindset shift, because that is crucial to acknowledge them. So kind of working together and befriending our emotions as opposed to shoving them, running away from them, fighting them, kind of be, okay, I'm aware. This is what is happening. I take all of the emotion that are not serving me well out. And it's interesting that one situation, I had a client and she came to me with just the financial piece because she's been divorced for 25 years.
Okay.
And she shared her story saying, I walked away, and her husband was very wealthy. And she said, I had to walk away from a big amount of an alimony. Because I really prioritized my well-being. And my emotions and everything else. And she said that was the soundest decision I've ever made.
Can't put a price on that.
Yes, but for somebody, and she had no kids, so for her situation, it made perfect sense. But for somebody else, that would be, no, this is not
or not
a good
possible.
Decision, not possible. So it varies. There is no one size fits all. And this is why we gotta really befriend the emotions, be aware, work with emotions, and then really be able to make this sound decisions, not from that self-preservation, fight, flight, freeze, or any other emotion.
Not rush the process for that reason, because you're going to feel differently 1 month out from separating than you will 6 months out.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I remind my clients that all of the decisions that you're making now are going to affect you and your kids probably for the rest of your life.
Definitely.
So don't rush if you don't have to, and really self-regulate. And I just recorded a video that I give the library of somatic exercises that we can do. Just tap in something we can do under the table, or we can leave the room to redirect the energy, and all of this emotions can be like, oh, we can self-regulate and self-soothe.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. Yeah, and also coming back to like, not rushing it, I think it's such an expensive time. Like, I hate to use the word, expensive to label it, but it really is. You're taking one household and possibly two dual incomes, and suddenly you're one income each, two households, possibly a lot of money in attorney fees. And so it is just like an overwhelming time for people. So I think that's really sound advice to kind of take a beat before any decisions are really final, because you're in the heat of it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also, my client, one of my clients says, desperation creates innovation.
Yeah.
And we can be creative.
I love
what
that.
we can live with or without, how we can maybe eliminate some costs. So just knowing that our attorney is not the therapist. So we gotta really be mindful and kind of budget for not only money, but time and effort.
Yeah.
That we really know what's going on, and we're staying in that powerful mode. And I remind my clients, you're stronger than you think. And I want to tell our listeners that you are stronger than you think.
For sure.
You just find that inner strength, and you can keep going even through all of the turmoil.
Yep. And if you're a parent, you kind of have no choice but to keep going.
That's true. It's kind of like mama superpower.
Yeah, and we got to dig deep.
Yes,
for sure. For sure. So can you walk us, and you did mention that other client that really had kind of found herself. Do you have any more success stories of any other clients that were able to overcome significant financial challenges post-divorce?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to be mindful of the client's privacy and ask for her permission to share parts of her story that are public records. So I just want to make sure that we say that.
Perfect.
That it's
and any names are changed as well, right?
Yes. So we will call her Alice for protection of her privacy. And she was a stay-at-home mom of two. And she helped her husband on his business. And as we know, everything is what's yours, that's mine.
Yes.
So their business, but he always thought, oh, that's my business, and she's just helping. And she is a very artistic person, so she sold her paintings online. She didn't bring a lot of income in a sense of money, but she was taking care of the house, she was taking care of the kids.
Which has value.
Oh, absolutely. And then throughout her marriage, later on, she found out that she endured financial abuse, emotional and mental abuse. And she came to me ready for a change. She's like, I cannot keep going the way I go. And we broke things down again. We started with values. We worked with emotions, befriending emotions. We set the goals and all of these wonderful things. And I was giving her tools how to manage each aspect. And there are times I helped her to create an email because she was very, very emotional. And her then husband turned out to be very difficult and toxic person. So that was very, very challenging. So she had health scares during that time. The kids had such a difficulty adjusting. And she was ready to give up. And I was like, no, let's focus on your progress, the milestones, even teeny tiny small steps that can seem teeny tiny for a person looking outside in, but when you are in the situation, they're huge steps. Because everything takes so much toll on us. And she persisted.
Amazing.
Keep going. So she kept finding the strength that what you said, that as moms we have no choice but keep going. And now she is building her financial independence.
Amazing.
She is really shifted her mindset 180 degrees.
That's incredible.
And her health is good. I'm so happy for her.
Good.
And her kids are thriving. She really patched up the relationship with them, and she's been such a great mom. Taking care of this, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go to a financial advisor so I can start investing. I can start really thinking about my kids' college fund, all of this amazing things that she was like, And she was, like I shared
Yeah.
in the beginning, she was ignorant about money. And she was giving it all to her family. And that was, of course, she had a grieving process.
Yeah.
That was devastating.
It's a whole new identity at that point.
Yes. And then I had recently had a conversation with her, just checking in. And she was like, you know what? I look back, I have no idea how I made this change. I just knew I had to. Otherwise, I would die or
Right.
something horrible would
Right.
happen. And I was like, look, like we broke this big bad wolf down into the smaller, more manageable puppies. And
There you go.
We could just do this together.
Yep.
And
How
it's-
lucky that she had you to help walk
I'm-
her through each step, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, I'm the lucky one because it's such an honor and fulfillment
Yeah.
to walk women through this process. It's so amazing, and seeing the strength again and seeing the power, and then be like, I want to keep going.
It's amazing.
Like I want to cover myself up, not look at my finances. Because the last thing we want to look
Yeah,
at the
right.
bills. Maybe that will take care of itself somehow.
Wishful thinking.
Thinking. And then having that courage.
Yeah.
That
To tackle it.
yeah, to just, okay, I'm facing this challenge and I'm heading, I'm doing this. And this is incredible witnessing it. And it's just,
What an honor. That's so cool.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's beyond what words can express.
Yes. That's amazing. So can you give any advice to, what you would give to somebody who's contemplating divorce but is concerned about those financial implications we kind of mentioned, possibly court, two households, those kind of things? Like what would be some advice you would give?
Without knowing any specifics, I would say get support, get your ducks in a row, whatever it looks like, and
Yep.
keep your head cold as much as possible. And again, it's a very emotional time, so befriending emotions and knowing how to manage them, this is crucial. So having financial management system, aka budget.
Right. That fun word.
The fun B word.
The fun B word.
And then just knowing what's going on, like being aware, collecting as many documents, and also making sure that some documents, like your social security number,
Right.
your passport, whatever it can be, are in the safe place.
Good point.
Because identity theft can happen, and it's really difficult to prove because you're like,
Wow, I never thought about that. That's great advice.
yeah, because if the husband, for example, filing for
Yeah.
taxes,
Yeah.
like I was the one who always just glanced
Signed.
over, signed.
Yep.
I never knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many
Because you
of
trusted
us-
him. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
How can you even possibly contemplate
Right.
that a person that you trust the most,
Right.
you share the bed, you share kids with,
Exactly.
can do something wrong for the family? And
Right.
unfortunately,
Right.
time and time again, I hear stories that are movie worth. That
So
is
sad.
just
Yeah.
unbelievable what
Yeah.
can happen. So being very mindful and putting your well-being first and your kids, like prioritizing well-being. And again, like having a reevaluation of values and asking yourself, does that align with my value? Like, for example, I had a client, her value, and she wrote it on a sticky note, put it on her mirror. My biggest goal is to be well, and how did she word it? Be accountable for myself and my kids.
I
So
love
for
that.
her, value was accountability, whatever it meant for her. And she aligned every decision, every situation up against that. So it was a
Great.
constant reminder, and I told her, your kids might think you're weird. Mom put in all the sticky notes.
I mean, they already
all
think
over.
we are.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You're so
Yeah.
right, absolutely. So just put that sticky
Yeah.
notes all over the place. And also, I have sometimes clients coming to me and then they realize and they got to do the work. And they got to make the change, not just think about the change. So willingness to really change yourself
Yeah.
and change the world around you, and then really be present and committed. So that sense of commitment that has to be there. And it's that little pieces of the equation, they're very, very important.
Right. That's amazing. I'm going to throw something at you that I didn't mention before. So tell me if you don't like it. Do you see or advise people maybe after divorce, like if they get new relationships, do you think it's probably a good idea or possibly a good idea to keep finances separate in new relationships? Or what do you think after seeing your experience?
This is a wonderful question. And I have a friend who's a coach specializing in helping, she's like happy remarriage.
Oh, I love that.
And she herself merged 4 kids of her own and 3 kids of her husband.
Yep.
It was like a
Sounds
big...
like my family.
Oh, that's amazing. I cannot
We're not at
imagine.
7 though. We're only at 5 kids.
That's already...
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel kind of like an underachiever now that I'm hearing about your friend.
I have 1 and it's
Yeah.
plenty. So...
Yeah.
Following Dave Ramsey, and this is how I started my journey.
Oh,
I went through
interesting.
Financial
Okay.
Peace University,
Yeah.
and it was like stop and go, a lot of attempts,
Right.
and then it was like, oh, I finally get in it. I would say if you share everything together, finances, they gotta be shared as well in the most mindful way possible.
Right.
So not only one partner handles finances.
Yes.
This is because it's such a crucial part of our lives, and we gotta be really, really mindful about what's going on. And I'm sure, like, I'm asking the same question myself.
Right.
If I ever remarry,
Right.
how would I want to handle it? And I'm sure that would be okay. We are decision makers, and that financial transparency is the key. So
Yep.
for me, the biggest value is being transparent, being honest. And if the person is not honest here, the person might not be honest in
Right.
other areas of
Right.
life. So it's such an indicator.
Great point.
And then, as we know, it's so easy to get married. You just sign a piece of paper,
Right.
you kiss, you have a beautiful wedding, and then it should be other way around.
Right. Figure out
right?
life first.
Figure
Yeah.
out all of the paperwork, just knowing how difficult it is to get out
Right.
of the marriage
Right.
and divide all of the assets, divide debt,
Definitely.
divide all of this. And it's so overwhelming because we have life, we have kids together with that
Right.
person. It's like, how can we even possibly start thinking about that? So knowing this, being not that it's a trauma,
Yeah,
for sure.
it is. Yeah.
So it's really difficult to trust, but it got to be there. It got to be in the open, because if we cannot trust, we probably won't be able to trust in other areas of our lives.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a really good point. I love that answer too. And it really does depend on the situation and the couple. Or I have heard too of like having monthly money dates with your spouse, where you sit down with that glass of wine and you go through everything, all the accounts, where everything's at, like, you know,
Maybe
and
wine
there's
after
that.
as a
Wine
reward.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to look at it. Okay.
Yeah.
You're smarter. I'm like, wait, not wine to get it started? No. All right, you're right. Wine after. Okay.
Liquid courage. But also that can inspire, like, for example, if you're the one who, okay, like, I'm budgeting, I'm really taking control over money versus money, or life taking control over me, you can inspire your partner.
Right.
And for sure, I see it as, and talking to my friend who does happy remarriage coaching, she's like, there are conversations that gotta happen even before you get engaged.
Yes, definitely.
So you already will know what type of marriage you're getting into. And again, like, if you are in the powerful mode, you can really make a difference. You can make a change. And also having such an uncomfortable conversation about money can really uncover a lot about your spouse to be. So I think it's very crucial, and it's very awkward.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, like, I talk about money. My daughter's like, you can talk about anything, like money. I was like, but sometimes if it's close home, this is very challenging to talk about this.
Yep, that's so true. That is so true. I think those are really good points. I think for possibly a lot of women going into like a second marriage, you've kind of learned from that first one, and you have those conversations a little earlier.
Yes, or avoiding and keeping finances separate and really running. But in my eyes, it's running away from the problem, because it can be a chain reaction.
Right. Great point. Oh, I love that. So we're talking about that dreaded B word, budget. I'm just kidding. I have a budget. I like it too. Talking about budget, can you describe how having a budget is part of a woman's self-care?
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I started budgeting, it didn't make sense to me. And going by Dave Ramsey, have a $0 budget.
Right.
Like, what the heck is that,
Right.
right? And then I remember it literally happened overnight. I trusted the process. I'm like, okay, if other people have success with this, Dave Ramsey's been out there for several decades.
Right.
So it helped other people. I'm going to give it a shot. And I did. And it took me several attempts, actually.
I mean, I like the honesty. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was difficult. It was rewiring your whole brain
For
about
sure.
money. And then literally overnight, it clicked. And I was like,
Interesting.
oh, that's what it means.
Interesting.
I'm assigning my tasks to my money. So they work for me. I
Right.
work for them. So it's like we're a team.
I
It's
like
not
that.
push-pull. And I really had to, like, I love analogies.
Yeah.
And I really had to look at it as that push-pull. I'm like, no, it's not productive. We're not moving anywhere. We
Right.
got to work as a team.
Right.
And then it becomes a part of self-care because at some point we start thinking automatically, and I saw it in myself and my clients, we start thinking about budget, money, yes, time, and energy and effort. So if I'm really tired and my daughter wants to have a conversation, and as we know with teenagers, you got to jump in when they want to talk about something.
It's now or never.
It's now or never, exactly. And there are times when I realize if I have that conversation now, that deep, wonderful conversation, I can be very, very exhausted, and it will take me a couple of days to get back, especially if it's like a lot going on. And now her and I have this kind of code that was like, sweetie, we just have a phrase that, like,
I love that.
That it means later. Something really sweet that it's like not, I don't want to talk to you. It's mom is not feeling up to it, and I want to be fully present because it's so important. So it's really interesting how if I told myself 5 years ago that this is the way I would think, I would be like, no way.
Oh, how
no
funny.
way.
Yeah.
So it's
evolved.
it's so worth it. It's so worth the journey. It's so worth doing the work because it's automatically starts overlaying on other areas of your life. And this is just so incredible because I had some health issues in my marriage, and my health is pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because I really think of anything that I do from the perspective of, is it in the budget or it's not in the budget?
Right. That's so interesting. Thank you for that. So how do you help clients set realistic financial goals and develop a plan to achieve them, especially like after starting their life essentially all over again?
Yeah, that is a very complex topic, and I always start with SMART goals. So setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals.
Great.
And I know that's used in corporate and in work, and we can definitely use it in rebuilding life.
Right.
So, for example, setting the goal, I'm going to save $5,000 in an emergency fund in 12 months. So 1 month you can save $100, another month $200. So, and you still have time to make your goal, as opposed to every month I'm going to set aside $100, and something happens, an emergency happens, or a kid gets sick, a pet gets sick.
Right.
And then we're like, oh, I don't have $100. And like, I'm going to start later
Right.
and later and put it off. So with SMART goals, it's easier to still achieve the goal and have the sense of fulfillment.
Giving yourself a little bit more flexibility with that.
Yes, and giving yourself grace.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yes, a friend of mine reminded me so many times, I'm so grateful for her, that she's like, Dasha, give yourself some grace. And this is what I'm passing on.
I love that.
For my clients, give yourself grace. If you missed putting aside that X amount of money, this is okay because you have other months.
Yep.
This month you can put $15.
Right.
Just put, it's better than zero.
Yeah.
Same as with investing. I remember another friend, her and I were talking, and during my work, I don't talk about investing in this and this because it's would be financial advisor expertise.
Yeah.
And for myself, I started Roth IRA. And she said, just start small. And I was like, of course. And it was right after I got out of my marriage and I was putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're a genius because
More
$30 is better than $0.
Yeah.
So if you have $10, you can invest that.
Yep.
You can do something with that. So it's not the number that really sets the tone, but that habit, just like really training our minds to do something. Same as with a budget. Like I have the app. Every time I scan the receipt, I put the amount and I know exactly what is happening. And it's a habit. And I remember at some point it was not. It was really difficult for me to, I have to do it. And now I just get in my car, lock the door because as we know, a lot of bad things happen.
I'm a door locker. I get it.
And then I have my little routine. And then I don't even have to think about it because I can open the app and I can see exactly what's in my grocery category, all of those things. And even the goal of setting a budget, was like I keep my clients accountable. I was like, okay, how about this? And I ask it in different ways. So it's like, how's your budget going? And they're like, we don't want to meet with her.
I'm not coming to the next session.
Yes, she's asking me that uncomfortable question.
Yeah.
But more like, what can we do to really break through that block? So it's kind of like that fluid thing. And if, let's say, a person did not achieve that $5,000 in 12 months, that's fine.
Right.
How much money do you have? Let's celebrate. You set aside, let's say, $3,000 per year. That's incredible.
Right.
Last year, you had $0 for that. Look at what you have now. So it's always celebrating the progress versus looking, I didn't do X, Y, Z.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I really like that. I appreciate that. So can you share some key financial principles or habits that everyone going through a divorce should prioritize?
Keeping financial transparency with yourself and with your spouse. Well, soon to be ex-spouse. Because even though your husband, let's say, can, but he hid some things, that doesn't mean you have to do it.
Right.
So be as transparent as possible without going through your personal boundaries, without violating your personal boundaries.
Right. That's great advice.
And then, of course, having a budget, the financial management system, whatever we want to call it. And then being aware of emotions, working through them, and really, again, befriending. So making them not big wolf, scary beast, but more like friendly puppies.
I love that analogy.
Or whatever animal. Like I use a lot of animal analogies and horse analogies.
That's awesome.
And then again, we go back to keeping your head cold to make sound decisions that can affect your life for the rest of your life and your kids, all of this. Again, not putting this like, ooh, so much pressure, but just being aware and knowing that you have power, reminding yourself you are stronger than you think, you're more powerful, you're much more courageous than you think you are. And through this big change, a lot of amazing changes can happen. Again, like visualizing this big, maybe oak, huge, old-fashioned door that was open with a lot of noise.
Right.
And then you can really invite a lot of light, a lot of wonderful, amazing changes and rebirth in yourself. So just keeping the beautiful outcome in mind. And again, having the outcome, what's your best possible outcome? What your dream life looks like, and really focusing on this.
That's amazing. Your analogies are so good, by the way.
Oh, thank
kind
you
of stuck
so
on the
much.
door and visualizing all the light. No, that's really good advice. And it is always interesting to me that we take this time when your life for both people, both spouses, where your life's in such a turmoil, flipped upside down, and we have to make some crucial decisions that are going to impact us forever, so it's an interesting, it's a good point to keep that cool head and to really think rationally and not emotionally about your decisions, as hard as that is.
Yes, and for that, definitely got to have good support, not people who can put you down or really be, oh, poor you.
Right.
But people who can really empower you, this is crucial. And not being isolated, because it can be such a lonely experience.
Yes.
And knowing who we can trust, who we cannot trust. And a lot of times, like I lost several friends throughout my divorce. They either couldn't handle my emotions or they were taking sides.
Yeah.
And there is no judgment.
Right.
So not having judgment towards people, because we never know what that can be for them. And sending them, if they want to leave our lives, be just wishing them all the best. If they want to leave, okay. You just got to know, and you cannot really predict that. There's no special formula how we can calculate who we can trust, who we don't trust. And it sometimes can bring another heartbreak over the heartbreak of dissolution of marriage. So there are a lot of things happening, but also this is the old ways are staying in the past and new ways are coming. It's, again, like focusing on the outcome and implementing new habits and just replacing old habits with new habits. And there is that transition time for sure when it was like we're still in the old paradigm and then the new one is approaching, and we're like, so this is the hardest time when a lot of people don't push through and give up.
Right.
And be, like getting back to the marriage when they might, probably they didn't experience physical abuse, but other financial, emotional, mental abuse they did experience. So that is, it's like giving birth.
Right.
And that's another analogy. I can get carried away with analogies, by the way. It's that transition phase when you're like, I cannot keep going.
Right.
You guys finish without me. I'm home.
This isn't going to happen. Yeah. I'll come back tomorrow.
I was like, not my problem.
Yeah.
So I always come back. And for myself, I had to come back to that analogy when giving birth to my daughter. And I knew after reading books, like, oh, she's coming. Like, she's very, very close. Just knowing, it was like, you got to really endure that type of pain that really lead you to a beautiful outcome and rebirthing process, and then big breakdown before a big breakthrough.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I think too, kind of going back to what you were talking about with trusting friends and that sort of thing. I think that really speaks to what you bring to the table though too, because it is hard to know who to trust. Friends, that's such a hard position to be the friend, because you're probably friends with both people in the couple or your spouse's friend. You know, it's a tricky position to be in. And so I think that's where you can really serve people, because you are that trusted outside person that is helping guide them. And so that really speaks to what you can bring. So it's pretty amazing to have you available for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And I also, I really care about my clients, and I remind them, I cannot care more than you care.
Yeah.
And in a way, yes, I so agree. Our friends, they have a lot of skin in the game. And a coach, me or another coach, this is the person who cares about the client and also have a different perspective. Don't have that level of emotions. Don't have that skin in the game.
Totally.
So there can be, a coach can give, lay out what's possible, that a client is like, oh, I didn't even think about it this way. Because being in that is like, because we got to take ourselves out. And sometimes it's not possible to take ourselves out of the equation, out of that situation, and have a perspective. Later on, several years later, we can be like, oh,
when all the decisions have already been made.
Yes. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I can pat myself on the back for that decision, but this one, why didn't I think about it?
Yeah, we come up against that a lot. Yeah, like, why wasn't this in the agreement? Or, you know, why didn't we think of this? We hadn't faced this yet.
Yeah.
Where was our guidance on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is why we got to have the team of people when we go through such a huge transformation and change, that can give different perspectives. And this team of people, like my family is abroad. It's just me and my daughter. And I find wonderful friends. And yes, many people left my life. And yes, that was devastating. And then new people come in, and just having that team of professionals as well. And luckily we live in such a wonderful area of so many choices.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation with a fellow coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, it's interesting that the society really put us in the position as women to compete, but there is no competition, there is only collaboration. And
I love that.
there are many people and there are many coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody who would come to me wouldn't probably
Yeah.
work well with another coach, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so amazing that we live in Sonoma County, in San Francisco Bay
Yeah.
Area, and many wonderful books there that I read as
Right.
an open, and the coach or the therapist or a scientist lives in
Oh, that's
San Francisco Bay Area.
amazing. Well, I think that's such a great point, because I assume there are other, not a financial advisor, but like a financial coach for women like you are, but maybe different personality types fit differently.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Same
it's nice
as
to
like
have
mental health
referral.
professionals, like therapists, right?
Totally.
Where we can click with one therapist, or it was like, oh, I really like that person on paper, but when we start a conversation,
Not connecting.
something is not
That's
clicking.
a great point. Yeah.
And this is perfectly fine.
Yep.
This is why we have choices.
Yep.
That's the only thing is, my goal is to make it accessible and affordable for as many women as possible.
That's a great point.
And for me, it was it's very funny. Being a life coach, I didn't even know divorce coaches existed.
Right.
Financial coaches
Right.
existed when I was going through my divorce. And I know so many women don't even know to look for support like this. They don't even understand or know what the financial coach does. And people, I get this question a lot. So you would sell me this like packages or this like mutual funds and things like this. I'm like, no. This would be a financial advisor, but financial coach, like I really help you work through emotions and really set habits, goals, all of these wonderful things. And yes, I collaborate with financial advisors that I can recommend, and you can choose because luckily we have a lot of professionals in the area.
Yeah. That's a really great way to kind of explain what you do. That's so helpful. It's so needed. So kind of coming off of your business for a little bit, what are 3 fun facts about you personally?
Oh, I fluently speak 2 languages, and I'm raising my daughter bilingual.
Nice. What are the 2 languages?
Russian and English.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, I've been in the United States for 17 years, and that was my major in college. Translation and interpretation.
Wow.
I know German a little bit. I used to say I know 2.5 languages, but I haven't practiced German, and I know
so it's
somewhere.
like 2 1/4 now?
Yeah, maybe 1/8.
Okay, that works. That's
Somewhere
awesome.
there.
Yeah.
I was able to keep my horse through a divorce.
Amazing.
And adopted a rescued horse for my daughter a year in the divorce. So his name is Jelly Bean.
How cute.
And he is the best teacher. And he was a companion horse because he was feral. And the change program, the local rescue for horses, who brought them to our horse barn as a foster barn, they had some training in him, but they didn't really know.
Right.
And then it was like a movie. My daughter came up to him, and they're connected. He came up to her, and he is a very quirky guy. And I really think of him as a teacher.
Yeah.
So we learned so much. And my heart horse, who passed away, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. A year and a half ago, he taught me. He helped me to become a better person, much more aware person. And I remember thinking, I can be upset and I still feel strong. Like I never felt that. And horses play such a significant part of my life. So, and I had a dream as a kid, and I made this dream come true. So, and I'm happy that I can share it with my daughter.
That's amazing.
And the third fact is I rescued a one-eyed chicken at the horse barn.
One-eyed chicken? That's amazing. Where did you find a one-eyed chicken?
She found me. I'm a big believer that animals find us.
Yeah, they sure do.
They come to us. It was at the horse barn. She was sitting under the fence, and I was like, "Who is that?" And she let me catch her, and she left with she lived with us for several years, and my daughter and I had to move, and she went to our friends
Oh,
to enlighten their life. And she
good.
acted like a dog, and I never had experience with chickens, so it was a delightful
That's amazing.
experience to have
Gosh.
her. Yeah, and she could care less about having other animals. She
Yeah.
chased everybody from the backyard.
Oh, that's awesome.
She really acted like a guard animal. And I was like, I was joking that I probably will become a vegetarian. Never happened.
But after having this chicken, and
Yes.
that's so funny that he acted like a dog, or she acted like a dog.
Yeah, she was a very, very interesting, and she laid eggs, which I never knew
Wow.
that chickens lay eggs. And I was
Yes.
like, what is so perfect that I live in
Yeah.
Petaluma now,
Yeah.
and it was like a very beautiful Petaluma welcome.
I was gonna say you really got welcomed in.
Yes, and I do feel so at home here.
Yeah.
So that was so perfect.
Oh, so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I have a dog also, but I have a rabbit who I am quite certain he thinks he is a dog. Like, he acts like a dog. He comes when he's called. He's potty trained. Like,
Oh my God.
cracks me up, the little fur ball, but he thinks he's a dog, so I get it.
I can picture you with a
Oh,
rabbit.
he's real
Oh,
cute.
adorable.
He's real cute. He's got his own little personality, but he's real cute. Is there anyone that's kind of helped you in your career that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I would say my parents.
Yeah.
Because they both have such unwavering faith in what they do. And my dad is a scientist, and even when times were really hard, he was a scientist and he believed in what he did. And my mom changed careers, and she went from being a scientist as well to business coach to clinical psychologist.
Amazing.
And she inspires me to, change is wonderful. And you can thrive and be really good at something when you just persevere, you put a lot of work and your heart, you pour your heart in there. And now she helps teenagers, and she helps companies to test their future co-workers and employees.
Oh, that's cool.
And with teenagers to help them realize who they want to be when they grow up.
Wow.
So it's so wonderful. And my conversations with my parents usually are about science or about how our brains work, psychology. So it's always
Amazing.
very cool conversations. And they're my biggest inspiration for sure.
That's amazing and so inspiring that you've been able to kind of learn so much from them. Was it so hard going through your divorce with them being so far away?
Yes, definitely it was. But we have such amazing relationship now with WhatsApp, with Signal, all of those apps. And most of the time I can hear my parents better than talking with somebody locally, which is...
That's funny.
Yeah, so funny. And them being so far away, sometimes it's really difficult, but also we don't have that physical presence piece, and sometimes it's good. Nobody's telling you you're making rice wrong, or your pantry is not organized.
Maybe it's a good distance.
Yeah. Sometimes, yes, of course, wanting to give them a hug, and my daughter, as she talks to them on Skype. So it's really wonderful to have that connection. And for sure, there are times that it's very, very challenging not being able to come to my parents, curl in the ball on their couch, cry on their shoulders. But also it made me stronger that I know I have no backup plan. There's the only way is forward. So there's always that pros and cons to
the give and the take of it all.
Yes,
I love that. Can you tell everybody one more time where they can find you if they're interested in talking to you or using your services?
So it's budget-whiz.com, and I'm on YouTube and TikTok at Budget Whiz. I'm pretty much everywhere.
Great. That's great.
Because I know that many people use one platform versus another. And again, my goal is to really spread an awareness that this type of help exists, and please come. I will be delighted to have a free consultation for 20 minutes. We can have a conversation and see if we're a fit and if we can work together.
That's amazing. And do you find that your clients are from everywhere and not just Sonoma County? They're from all over because of your platforms.
Yes,
amazing.
From all over, and I'm ready to expand.
Great.
Really, just because I used to have word of mouth, more like referrals, and now I was like, yes, I'm ready to help as many women as I can.
Great.
And creating the books, and I'm in the process of creating courses, because sometimes one-on-one can be challenging, especially for moms. And I really want to create the tools and resources for women to go to they are not ready to work one-on-one, but they're ready for some type of a support, more like from a distance kind of type of a support. And I just really... I was so thankful for people who helped me during my challenging time. That I just know how important it is. And again, it's such a honor and just wonderful feeling to be there to help.
Well, and for anybody listening, I think it's pretty important to point out, like, even though you went through something so challenging in your life, you wouldn't be doing this right now if you hadn't. So it's pretty amazing how that all...
Absolutely. And I remind my clients that you never know. You might open a nonprofit who helps somebody, or you can really shift your career, and you never know, because it's such a... this big change welcomes other changes.
Definitely.
And we just gotta be out looking for that and welcoming this. So, and a big piece is the clients who are very successful in a pretty short amount of time, those don't have the resistance. And we even joke that it's a clean in your drawer mentality. My client said, I don't know why, but I felt an urge to go and clean out my drawer. And she was like,
I do this all the time.
She's like, I had no idea why. And then she was like, I asked her, what happened after? And what happened before and what happened after? She was thinking about something really, really hard that she felt nauseous, like she had to do something. And after cleaning her drawer, while doing this rhythmic activity, she figured out the solution. And I was like, see, this is the clean in your drawer mentality.
I love that.
So it's sometimes random things, or like going for a walk, or dancing, putting some music on. And this is why just moving the body, redirecting the energy is so important, because we can, when we are stuck and stagnant, nothing good comes out of it. And it's very interesting, but people who overthink, me included, I'm an overthinker. Horses help me with that a lot. Not to overthink and feel more. We tend to have harder time because, like, oh, I want to analyze, what am I doing here? I want to know all the steps and everything. And sometimes we gotta trust the process, trust our bodies, trust ourselves more, and instincts, so we can really go forward and move on. So it's very interesting, that resistance piece, and it's like training your body. It's like, for me, the best place is in the saddle. And my trainer is like, stop overthinking. Go with it. It's okay. Trust yourself more. So this is the message that, for me, I struggle with this, being an overthinker.
Well,
like,
so
trust yourself.
funny.
And I know many women out there, they do have that. Or like, I got to know the outcome to start doing something. I'm like, no, you got to start doing something.
We got to take action.
We got to take action, because clarity comes out of action, not other way around.
I love that.
So it's like, again, like rewiring the mindset. And it's a beautiful time to do it. As hard as it is.
Perfect time to do it.
It's perfect time to do it.
To get that fresh start. It's funny when you say overthinker. My 9-year-old has a sweatshirt that says overthinker in bold, and she came with me to a house showing the other day, and my client was like, yes, I need your sweatshirt.
Yes. Oh, me too, please.
Overthinker over here. And the cuff of it says just breathe. I'm like, show her the cuff of your sweatshirt.
Oh my gosh, this is you gotta let me know.
I'm gonna let you know where I got. I gotta figure out. It was on Shark Tank, and she was like, "Can I have that?" I'm like, "Yeah, if there was ever a sweatshirt for you, it's that."
This is perfect. Letting everybody know.
Totally. Here, warning you ahead of time. That's so funny.
And then, okay.
Just breathe. Okay.
Yeah, just breathe. Okay. Move your body and breathe.
Too funny. Yeah, my client's buying one too.
She
loved it. So thank you so much for coming on too. It was so nice to meet you and have you in here and hear your story. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy, so much for this opportunity. That's been such a fun conversation.
I know.
I loved it so much.
We have a lot in common, so it's really nice to connect. Well, thank you. And thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please be sure to like and subscribe. Learn more about Sonoma County and all that we have to offer here.